All right, fair use, fair use. First and foremost, welcome to a valued conversation, Gen X spoken word. So, I wanted to spend some time getting more pre recorded shows in because I know how difficult it is for some people to make it to my lives. Because, again, this is not my day to day job. So, if you happen to see me up and doing a live, it's generally after the hours of 10:30 or 11 o'clock. So, I'm going to try something different for a little while, all right? And I'll set it as a premiere so that way you guys can still take the time to have any real chat comments made, and I'll go back and take a look at them, obviously. So, what am I looking at right about now? So, there was a guy in a YouTube, or actually, I'm sorry, Facebook reel that I came across about an hour or two ago, who was in a position to whereas he was given the option to pay $30,000 and back child support for a child that was not his or go to jail. Yeah, you heard that, or go to jail. The guy chose to go to jail instead. Now, luckily enough, he was not put in jail. But for him to be shown that he was not the father, I'm talking 0.000%, but still be on the hook because some woman lied about it and said, oh, I just wanted to get benefits. And that is wrong on his face. This is the reason why you see a lot of men supporting this bastardized red pill ideology. So again, we're doing this again, all right? I just finished giving a little bit of feedback about Anthony Mackie making that jackass statement that masculinity was dead and killed off in our communities, and we were looking at the death of the American male over the past 15, 20 years. Okay, it's all bullshit to a certain degree. Now, two things can be right at the same time. We've seen that. So we can see that a man who does not pay his child support, if it is his child, goes to jail. Now, I don't have a problem with the man who has children and is not paying his child support going to jail. What I have a problem with is a woman who is caught in paternity fraud and she does not go to jail. And that's what we're looking at right now. So before I go ahead and tell the whole story, let's do something first. Let me give you a little, a bit of an education about red pill if you're not familiar with it. So this is going to be real quick because I plan on doing an episode completely dedicated to the topic. The original meaning of red pill and blue pill stems from the 1999 sci-fi film The Matrix, where they represent a choice: accepting a harsh, unsettling truth, which is the red pill, or remaining in blissful ignorance, blue pill. Now, something that I caught on to that I didn't really focus on before is that if you look at the concept of the blue pill and the red pill, the extremist folks that you find who support this bastardized red pill ideology, because this is not the original ideology of red pill. I just read it to you. We'll go through it a few more times here in some examples. But the idea here is that the blue pill represents the Democratic Party and the red pill represents the Republican Party. So in a sense, what you have from these far-right extremists who support the red pill ideology that we know right now that has dominated the culture for the last 12, 13 plus years is that, oh, if you follow the red pill and follow the Republicans, you're going to get the reality. You're going to get the truth. And it's all a delusion. Literally. Red pill that we see right now, the bastardized version, is an unintended consequence. It was never supposed to be this way. But again, I'll explain more later. So if we look at the metaphorical meaning, it says here, the red and blue pills become a metaphor for a choice between accepting a potentially unsettling truth, again, that's the red pill, or remaining in a comfortable, albeit false, reality. Now, it goes a little bit further talking about the societies and the online communities who've adopted this, again, bastardized red pill ideology. In some online circles, and I'm referring to the red pill online communities, in some online circles, particularly those associated with the manosphere and alt-right movements, red pill can refer to a supposed awakening to a hidden truth about gender roles, societal structures, and other perceived injustices. So in short, what it's speaking of, and I'll show that in, again, a different video, we're talking about people feeling that they've been persecuted because of feminism, because of certain levels of womanism, whereas women are able to get away with certain actions that men are held more accountable for, such as when there's a divorce, the man gets kicked out of his house, he has to give up his children, access to his wife, access to his domicile that he still has to pay for if he has to be moved out and has to live someplace else, pay for that place, as well as his house, the mortgage, and everything else, to the point that even his wife, or soon to be, takes in another man and he's still paying for everything, and there's another man in his house around his children. And then of course there's the other issue that brings us here today, which is a man who's paying child support for a child that is not his, but the woman who put him down on the birth certificate as the father knew he wasn't the father, but she receives nothing. As far as she receives nothing for her part in this, which is fraud. I can see why men would choose red pill, but I do not condone it in the fashion that we see, whereas we're now talking about, instead of the status quo, which is all of society being put under the microscope, is just focusing on either women, gays, as far as the LGBT community, focusing on migrants, immigrants. That's it. We're not looking at the accountability of men as a whole, or let's say a particular man, which is white men, feeling that they are out, they are now under attack. But you do have black men who are involved in the red pill as well. Well, you have black, white, you have, believe it or not, you even have some Muslim men who are also part of the red pill community. It would just blow your mind, or possibly expand it when I get into a deeper pull of this. All right, but let's go ahead and get to the main deal. Fair use.
Imagine being told to pay child support for a kid that is not yours or go to jail. That was the order the state handed down to a Detroit man.
So today, he turned himself in, but here's what happened when 7 Action News reporter Kim Russell went with him to court.
Carnell Alexander walked into the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice knowing in moments he could lose his freedom.
I stayed up all night, couldn't sleep, thinking about it.
Carnell is a wanted man because he refuses to do what the state orders
fair
and
use,
pay child support for a child that DNA tests prove isn't his.
Now, I want you to take a look at this. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. 0.00%, but yet he still has to go to court over this when it clearly states he is not the father, but he's going through this because, again, a woman put his name down on the birth certificate knowing that he was not the father. Fair use.
A child he doesn't even know.
I haven't even had a chance to really speak to him, except for one time when we took the DNA test.
Nonetheless, right now, under the law, he's a deadbeat dad. Today, he turned himself in to the judge as ordered.
Scared because I've been before this judge before.
But this time he had attorney Cherika Harris, who volunteered to help after seeing his story on 7 Action News. The judge said he will not go to jail for today.
Thank you. Thank Ms. Harris. And hope that we can resolve this soon.
I'm just trying to help him with his future.
Though the threat of jail is on hold, it is not over. Carnell Alexander still owes more than $30,000 to the state for a child that's not his, because the mom wrote his name down because she needed to name someone in order to get welfare benefits.
And I had to put him down as the father. That was the only way I can get the system.
Now,
I'm almost homeless. I'm almost in jail. I'm out of work.
One of them.
Okay, the whole affair is just diabolical, to say the least. I mean, she showed no type of remorse for her actions. yeah, I had to put him down in order to get the benefits, to get into the system. I had to put him down as the father, knowing this guy was not the father. So do I understand why guys gravitated towards red pill? Yes, I get it. But that being said, what I do not understand is how red pill could be so corrupted with extremism, pickup artists, incel subculture, misogyny. As you saw in the original meaning of red pill, as I demonstrated, I'll bring it back up one more time here. Nowhere in here do you see the things that I just mentioned that red pill has become known for. Inside of this statement, you do not see any hint of misogyny, extremism, pickup artists, or incel subculture, or any other type of racism. You don't see that here at all. All that was added along the way to justify why red pill needed to be utilized to combat what was consumed inside of alt-right or conservative media, the death of masculinity. Also, attack on white men. Now, I find that to be odd when you have a large amount of black conservative males who wear Trump hats, make America great again. These guys simply do not understand that you are always going to be the help. Even Myron from Fresh and Fit, who was palling around with white supremacists one day, was taken aback when he talked about the movement. And the white guy who was on the panel with him, there was two white guys and Myron, who I believe is Muslim in nature. But nonetheless, just understand that one of the two white guys said, oh, hey, you do realize that we want America to be a white country. And hey, I love you, bro, but you got to go also. Myron said, what are you talking about? He said, hey, man, don't you get it? You know, white power. This is for white America. We want a white country with no blacks, no Muslims. And then all of a sudden, a friendly conversation went off the rails. Now, if I can find that, I will show it to you. But you have a lot of delusion in people who seem to think that just because they support the same ideology and they're not the same color, it doesn't matter because we're still brothers. No, you are not. You are always going to be the helper in the situation if you are not a white male who is fighting for masculinity. If you cop to this type of mentality, all right? Luckily enough, I grew up in a Department of Defense school system, all right, or they call it DODS, Department of the Defense Dependent Schools. And luckily enough, majority of the people that I went to school with, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, Muslim, they did not share this type of mentality. There are a few who do, but it's not the majority. All right, so closing this out, folks. Again, this is just a quick blast of how red pill has gotten to a point to where it is just literally a toxic endeavor. Now, I do not claim to be a part of the manosphere. I do not speak of red pill the way that we see it right now. Or if anything, if I mention red pill, I talk about the original concept, OC red pill. And that's what I've just read to everyone here. I've read to you the original concept of red pill. There it is right there. Once more, no misogyny, no extremism, no pickup artists or incel subculture. Just literally what it is. Looking at status quo, not looking at one particular group or groups of people to use as a blunt object to beat them across their heads with. All right, as always, I appreciate folks for taking the time to check out any of my content. But before we get out of here, find somebody who knows somebody to tell somebody about what's going on over here. If you like it, let me know. Share it if you do. And subscribe if this is what you're looking for. As always, I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. John Henry out.